And then you think about the excess and the instantaneous nature of the disco culture. You had people meeting on the dance floor for the first time, and then later on that night, wherever they find the time and the space and the opportunity, other things are going to happen. So you think about it. The MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning pretty much tells you what is going to happen later on in the decade with respect to disco's culture of excess and sex. What's going on, everybody? You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. It's Friday. Hopefully you enjoy your weekend. It's homecoming weekend for me. I'm going back to my college alma mater to go, do some work and then hang out with some folks and then come back home. But I wasn't going to leave you guys hanging for the weekend. In fact, I have something special for y'all that's going to be premiering on this channel on Sunday. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, tap that notification bell to be notified of all the new videos that drop on this channel, and enjoy it. But today is Friday. It's Philly Friday, and we're still doing cover songs. So I did want to talk about a song that was covered that foretold disco's culture and community before disco actually became a thing. So this song we're talking about, the original, is this right here. Touch Me in the Morning from Miss Diana Ross, which came out as a single on May 3rd, 1973. The album with the same title came out June 22nd. So about 6 weeks later? 7 actually. But yes, and Touch Me in the Morning is just one of those songs that just, again, it's one of those cultural moments. If you were around in the 70s, if you were old enough to understand relationships, if you were old enough to be on the dance floor or old enough to hear the song, and the lyrics, the first verse is just, it tells you everything you need to know. Hey, wasn't it me who said that nothing good's gonna last forever? And I like the chorus myself, honestly. Well, I could say goodbye in the cold morning light, but I can't watch love die in the warmth of the night. If I've got to be strong, don't you know I need to have tonight when you're gone? Till you go, I need to lie here and think about the last time you'll touch me in the morning. That is a one-night stand or a friends with benefits situation winding down. I don't know what they called friends with benefits in 1973, if there was such a thing. It was the sexual revolution in the 70s. We knew everybody was getting it cracking, but they didn't put titles on it the way we put titles on things now, or want titles on things now. But yeah, Diana Ross's version of Touch Me in the Morning, the original, it became one of her biggest hits, one of her legend songs, and it was the longest song she had on the charts until 1980 when Upside Down did the trick. Shout out to Nile Rodgers and the late Bernard Edwards of Chic, who put that together for her. So the cover version of this song, it's one of my favorite Philly soul songs ever interpreted, arranged, and put together. Yes, I'm talking about the MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning. It comes from the December 1973 release, Love Is the Message. Now, you notice, let's go back to Diana Ross's cover real quick. You notice how ethereal she is up in them clouds? That billowing black hair, her pushing her hair to the side, looking down ever so daintily. Beautiful, isn't it? Then we move to the MFSB Love Is the Message cover. You see, if you can't see it clearly, there is a swastika in the little white border. The soldier helmet with a skull. You've got machine guns, you've got protesters, you've got dogs, you've got a mushroom cloud of smoke and fire, because Vietnam was still going on. Vietnam was just about to wind down because U.S. troops started, departing the Philippines in the first half of 1973, but they didn't get out for real until the fall of Saigon, like 2 years later. So the MFSB cover of this album is just really jarring as compared to the transplendent beauty of Diana Ross's cover album cover for Touch Me in the Morning. But the MFSB version, it is what you would absolutely call proto disco. Now, proto disco is something that people, music lovers and critics and, students of the game say is basically pre-disco stuff, like stuff that gave you hints to what was coming with disco. And for the MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning, the absolute star of this song is the late Leon Zachary saxophone, because he's playing the melody, he's playing the lyrics. Touch me in on a saxophone and killing it. But when because it starts off slow. It starts off slow. I mean, there's the string, there's Lenny Pecula's organ, and then you hear Zach on the saxophone, and then once it gets to the if I've got to be strong part, and then it just starts to pick up, and then you hear Earl Young's drums, you hear the galloping congas, that galloping sound in the background that became very popular with Philly soul and disco in the 70s. Those congas were important, man. Very, very important. Congas, bongos, kungas, whatever you want to call them. That percussion played a huge part in being a complementary accompanist role in the large disco sound of the 70s. But yeah, the MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning, like, I don't know if you could put the actual lyrics over it, because of course Zach sort of does his thing with the saxophone, kind of sort of puts his own spin on it, but you can still tell the lyrics when you listen to the verses and the choruses and all of that. But this is MFSB, this is Philly soul, absolutely in the pocket, in their bag. And to cover a song that was barely 6 months old, not even 6 months old, because again, Touch Me in the Morning came out May of 73. The MFSB Love Is a Message album came out in December of 73. So you're talking about a song that is still probably ascending on the charts. It's still doing numbers. It's still popular. People are still requesting it on their radio stations. And MFSB said, Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff said, all right, man, we're going to cover this. And cover it they did. I mean, you talk about Earl Young's drums, Zachary saxophone. I don't know who's playing guitar on that. I don't know if it's Norman Harris. I don't know if it's TJ Tyndall or Bobby Eli or whoever else was on MFSB at the time. Either one of the Chambers brothers. Not those Chambers brothers. Not the Thomas Come Today Chambers brothers. There was a couple of Chambers brothers in Philly that worked for MFSB and Philly International as well. I don't know who's playing guitar on Touch Me in the Morning, but there's this nice little part after the second, verse, when it's like, touch me in the morning and then just close the door and leave me like you found me before. And there's this nice little guitar part. Like, everybody had to be focused, locked in for this to work, because the original arrangement of Touch Me in the Morning, you got your pianos, you got a beautiful bass. I think that's Carol Kay on the bass, because the Wrecking Crew is credited as the musicians on Touch Me in the Morning. So it might be Carol Kay playing bass on the original version. I'm not sure. But the Wrecking Crew arrangement of Touch Me in the Morning is very light and airy and ethereal. The MFSB arrangement of Touch Me in the Morning is hard hitting. I mean, it's disco. I mean, disco didn't have a name when this dropped in the winter of 74, but it still was disco. I mean, you think about it. You think about the lyrics to that song. It's basically two lovers saying goodbye for what turns out to be the final time. And then you think about the excess and the instantaneous nature of the disco culture. You had people meeting on the dance floor for the first time, and then later on that night, wherever they find the time and the space and the opportunity, other things are going to happen. So you think about it. The MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning pretty much tells you what is going to happen later on in the decade with respect to disco's culture of excess and sex. And it's pretty impressive that I don't know if Kenny and Leon foresaw this coming, but when you listen to it, you kind of get the feeling like maybe these people know something. Maybe they know that this disco thing is really going to pop, and that people are going to hate it, people are going to love it, and people are going to go absolutely buck wild in the clubs over it. And that's pretty much what happened. And I don't know how you guys feel about disco. I mean, on this channel, this is a disco positive podcast. Make no mistake about it. But and just the MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning, it's a jam. I mean, I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. there was somebody who commented on my D Train Walk on By video, said, can you please start putting snippets in your videos? I know you can't do it. And I can't, because I don't want to get copyright snatched, because I want this channel to eventually become something that I can get some scratch from. But when musicians start pulling their music, you ain't gonna make no money from it. I mean, because you can't monetize a video with a copyright infraction. So I'm gonna get back to doing what I used to do when I started this channel. I'm gonna start putting links in the comments below of the songs that I wish I could play, but I can't play because of copyright restrictions. So I'm gonna put I'm gonna put a link to the MFSB version of Touch Me in the Morning in the description below, because you probably heard the Diana Ross version already. You already know what that one's like. But if you haven't heard the MFSB version, I'm going to put a link to that one in the comments below, and you guys can check it out on your own whim and let me know what you think. And that's going to do it for this ride on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Contact information will be in the description below. Yo, Instagram screwed up my account for On the Groove Line, so it's not working right now. So if you see an Instagram link to On the Groove Line in the comments, ignore it until I figure it out. And I'll let you guys know when I figure it out. But everything else, Facebook, Blue Sky, send me an email. Let me know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys for riding with me. Enjoy your weekend. And until the next time we ride, may you find the groove, or may the groove find you.